Hello, welcome to another microbit video from me, Mr. Morrison. Today we are creating a simple game using the microbit. It's called the corner game. If I just reset it, you'll see it has a little starting animation, and then I need to get this light into the corner of the microbit as many times as I can within 15 seconds. So I'm using the A and B button to move left and right, and then the A plus B to move down. So it might be, there we go, and it's in 15 seconds, so this will give me a score. It will say game over, and it will give me a score. Let's see what I got. Three. Okay, so I made it into the corner 3 times. You could try and beat my score, but it's a really simple game for you to get going with coding games on the microbit. Let's get coding. So to create our corner game, we're going to need onStart and forever. We're also going to need some inputs, so let's put them in. We're going to need on button A pressed, duplicate that, and have on button B pressed, duplicate that, and have on A plus B. So that's our main blocks that we're going to use. For creating games in MakeCode for Microbit, you need to go into the advanced section to find the blocks. And we have a dark green one called game. I'm going to click on game, and I'm going to scroll down to see the different things we've got. I'm going to start countdown because that means our countdown is going to start each time the game starts. So I'm going to start a countdown of, it could be 15 seconds. I'm going to maybe make it 20 seconds for this game. So 20 seconds is 20,000 milliseconds because there's 1,000 milliseconds in a second. Then we need to go into variables, and we're going to make a variable. We're going to call it sprite. Okay, why I'm calling it sprite is in game creation such as Scratch, a sprite is just a character. So we have a character here, albeit a little dot that is going to move from one corner of the screen to the other. You can imagine that dot to be a character. So I'm going to set sprite to, and then we're going to create sprite. So I'm going to go to game, and I want to create sprite at 0, 0. So create sprite is at the top, and we're going to set create sprite at 0, 0. So I'm going to change this to 0 and change this to 0. So here, what I'm doing is selecting where the dot is going to appear on the screen. So if I start my microbit, the dot is going to appear in this corner here. I'm actually going to show you by moving this above so it creates it first. So there's my dot. If I move X, it's going to be along the top. So this goes along the top, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I say go for 1, it's going to move 1 place this way once the little animation happens. The dot's going to be here. You see that? If I move it down 1, it's going to be down here. There we are, 1. So we can create a sprite, and it's just going to, at this time, we're going to start our game in the top corner, 0, 0. Then we need a way for us to move this sprite. So we're going to have the A and B buttons, and we're going to go into game, and we're going to go for sprite, change X by 1. So move that into here. And then we're going to go for in game again. In fact, we can use this, we can duplicate this. So right click, duplicate, put this in here. And this means this is going to change X by 1. So we're going to go this way on A. this is going to change it the other way. So if we just put in a little minus sign, it'll move the other way. So now if I start it over here, once the animation finishes, we can go, B is going to go that way, A is going to go that way. Then we want on button A and B, we want to be able to move down. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change X by 1, change X by 1. So instead of X, we're going to change Y. So Y is the down, and we're going to change it by 1. So on button A plus B press sprite, change Y by 1. The final bit is going to be what's going to happen when the sprite reaches the bottom corner. So in here, we're going to go for if. So in logic, we're going to go for if, just the first if. And then we need to go back to logic and we need to find Boolean, which is just a choice in coding where you can have something and something or something and something and that sort of thing. So it's called Boolean logic. We're going to go in here and then we are going to have two things. So we need it to have it when the sprite is in 4:4. In fact, you see a little 4:4 is coming up when I highlight that. So if it's in 4:4, I am going to put another logic block in here, and I'm going to have an equals block. So equals block, I'm going to duplicate this. So we've got quite a lot of logic happening here. And then in our game, I'm going to go for sprite X. And then we also need to duplicate this and find, I'm going to have to zoom out so that this all fits. We're going to duplicate this, oops, and go for and Y. Okay, I'll zoom in again and actually hide that for a second so we can see. So if sprite X is equal to something and sprite Y is equal to, and we want them to be 4. And if that is the case, we want to go to game and we want to change score by 1. Finally, we are going to go into variables and we're going to set sprite to create sprite at. We don't need to do that. We can just duplicate this on start one at the top. So that means it resets it to what happened up here. So we're going to add in one more block, and that is delete sprite. So if we don't add this in, and we have to add this in a certain place, so we need to have delete a sprite before we create a new one. So we're going to delete the one that's got to the corner before we then create a new one. So download this onto your Microbit, see if it works, and I hope to see you in another video very soon.